How's it going, everybody? It's Wes, and today I want to be covering a few basic concepts that can really lay the foundation and groundwork for more advanced playing and understanding a number of just more advanced techniques that can benefit pretty much anybody that wants to play guitar. The first thing I'm going to cover is the two main types of scales, then how you can build bar chords based off of those scales, and then how you may form a riff out of those bar chords, and how you might solo over the riff that you create, and how to choose what notes to play when you solo. First thing are scales. There's really no way to get around knowing at least a little bit about scales. They really help the guitar player at any level to just gain an understanding of what's going on the fretboard, what they're playing, and what they can play in relation to other notes or chords that they're playing, because that's really the ultimate meaning behind any note or chord, is that any note or chord only has meaning or significance around its relationship with the other notes and chords it's being played with. Otherwise, a note is meaningless. So the first scale I want to show you is called the major scale. And today we're going to be working in the key of G, which means that the G note, or in this case I'm playing it on the 3rd fret of the low E string, that G note is going to be the note, our root note, in which all the other notes in our scale revolve around. So we're in the key of G major. The major scale looks like this: 3, 5, 7, 3, 5, 7, 4, 5. Now the minor scale looks a little bit different. The G minor scale will look like this: 3, 5, 6, 3, 5, 6, 3, 5. So there you have your major and minor scales. But for the purposes of this lesson, I just want to focus on the major scale. So now you can start building chords based off of this scale. So first we'll look at the G major bar chord, which is going to look like this: 3, 5, 5, 4, 3, 3. Now all a chord is a bunch of notes within a scale played at the same time. So in the G major, in a riff that's being played in G major, your root chord essentially will be that. Now I want to show you 3 other chord shapes that you can use within the key of G major. Now keep in mind that you can play these chord shapes anywhere on the fretboard, but for the purposes of this key, you'd want to use these shapes on these certain notes because they're made up of the notes within the key. That might have confused you a little bit, but bear with me. So we have our G major chord, then we have our minor chord, and we're going to play an A minor chord, and all it is the same shape as this, but you're going to take your middle finger off. So we're going to go 5, 7, 7, 5, 5, 5. That's a minor shape. That's an A minor bar chord. And like I said, you can take that shape and play it anywhere on the fretboard. But depending on what key you're playing in, you may not be able to play it anywhere. But we know, for the purposes of this video, that an A minor chord works after playing a G major chord within the key of G major. The next bar chord we're going to be working with is a D major bar chord. Now when we're working with a bar chord that starts in the A string or the 2nd string down, the shape is going to look a little bit different. So we're going to play a D major bar chord, and it'll look like 5, 7, 7, 7. And you kind of bar the 7th fret with this finger. Could be a little tricky to get into at first, but once you get it, you can play it anywhere. You can do anything with it. Now the last one is going to be a minor chord shape starting on the A string. So we're going to play an E minor bar chord, and the frets for that are 7, 9, 9, 8, 7. And it sounds like that. So now we have our 4 chords that we're going to use in the riff that we're going to make. And they're this: a G major, A minor, D major, and an E minor. Now you'll notice when I play those chords together, it's creating a melody that your ear can follow and almost can anticipate on where it's going to go. And that's because I'm playing, all the chords I'm playing are using the notes within the key of G major. And so it just sounds correct and it flows together. Now once you have your chords, you can just start fooling around with different rhythms and putting them together in a certain order and a certain length played on each chord and figure out what sounds good. Now personally, I really like using bar chords because they allow us for so much freedom as far as where you can play them. Like I said, you can use these shapes anywhere on the fretboard. It's just a matter of what sounds good at being played with what. Whether you're trying to describe it with music theory, technical speak, or just saying what sounds good, that is essentially what's going to create your boundaries. So when I write a song, I'll just throw one of those shapes anywhere on the fretboard. Before I even worry about what key I'm in or what chords to play in what order, I just go with what sounds good. And then if I'm going to make a song out of it, I say, okay, this is what's going on, this is what key I'm in, and these are the other notes and chords that I can play around it. So don't really worry about all the technical mumbo jumbo. The reason I'm kind of explaining it is so you can get an understanding of how to use it to your advantage. So back to our 4 chords. Here is the riff that I've created out of these 4 chords. Now that riff might sound familiar if you've watched the Girl Gone Gamer theme video. That's because that is the riff for the chorus of that song. So now I'm going to make a quick loop track of that and then show you how you might go about soloing over that riff. Now to start off, since we're in the key of G major, now this is where everything kind of comes together. Since we're in the key of G major, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to play that G major scale that I showed you. Just up and down the scale, nothing more complicated than that. And let's see how it sounds. Notice how every single note I played just sounded right? That in itself could be considered, you know, a melody or a solo. I mean, it's very simplistic, but that's how it works. Now, I'm going to get a little bit more advanced, and once you kind of figure that out, you can figure out where all the other notes on the fretboard are in that scale. That scale can be played a million different ways, a million different places all over the fretboard. It's up to you to just mess around with it, solo over a riff, you know, loop a track or record something, or just take a song that you like that's already, you know, by your favorite band and just play over it. Figure out what key it's in and then just jam over it, figure out what sounds good and what doesn't, and that's how you get good. You learn from your mistakes, you just do it over and over and over again, and you get better. So now I'm going to expand upon that scale, play a little bit up here and around here, and show you how it works. And there you have it. That was the exact solo that I wrote for the Girl Gone Gamer song. So hopefully this kind of gives you an idea of how you might go about writing a riff, constructing chords, and then soloing over those chords using the major and minor scales. I put it in the context of the Girl Gone Gamer song so that it might be somewhat familiar to you and intriguing as far as, oh, like that's how he did it. If you haven't heard the song, check it out on my channel. It's pretty good and it'll give you a little bit better an idea of what I'm talking about. So let's review real quick. Today we learned the G major scale, the G minor scale, the G major chord, the A minor chord, the D major chord, and the E minor chord. These are all bar chord shapes that can be placed anywhere on the fretboard. The placement is what determines what the chord is called as far as the letter name. Then it's up to you to decide what chords you play in certain orders and certain rhythms and certain lengths of time. And you can use your creativity from there on out. So I hope this helps. Leave a like if it did, and leave any questions you might have in the comments, and I'll be rocking with you.